Hey there, YouTube. Welcome to my messy room on a hot California mid-afternoon. So, I really wanted to do another Stellaris Advanced video. I've been having a couple problems with that because if you are familiar with Stellaris, there's been a lot of changes that have drastically um, kind of changed the game almost entirely and changed a lot about it. So the problem I'm having is kind of like picking and choosing what exactly I should be putting out there. Even my last video, I've had a couple people be like, "How is this advanced? This isn't even good information anymore." And I'm like, "Oh well, it was good then. It was it was somewhat good. I've had some people like it. Anyway." I want to make another one, and I'll have this be part two. I have been, trying to do lots of different content, so I apologize if you had subscribed to me before with the wanting to see more Stellaris content, and I hadn't done it. So here we go. We got some Stellaris content coming for you right away. Alright, so here is one of the first tips of my part two that I wanted to do here. So, just started out this one on a teeny map, so we got, not too much going on here. And I still haven't started the time. I don't know, for me, it's all about the setup, so I'm all about making sure that I get things properly in order before I even start the timer. So, I know one of the changes they've made is for society, you always have the option of doing the new world's protocol, which I cannot stress enough. You want to get that as soon as you possibly can. So, luckily we started off with a maniacal researcher here, so we get a little bit more research speed. So we have 12 on that. I also kind of augmented a lot of my ethics and whatnot so I can get a little bit more. I gave it like 5% more research speed for each of them, things like that. So for this one, we'll probably just do, I mean, both of these honestly are really good choices. I'm just gonna do the power and we'll do thrusters. So anyway, as you can tell, one of these technologies is going to take a lot longer than the other two, which yeah, it's right there. And it's funny too because this one has the best output in terms of research speed. So you would think that it'd be a little bit faster. I've seen it as high as like 72 months because you only start off with the 5 research points. So first thing we want to do is just check if there is any particular one that might give you a little bit more, and there is not. So you're kind of stuck with that unless, and here comes the point that I wanted to bring up. So hit the government tab and go to policies. Now I would only suggest doing this until you get your first technology done on society, but you can actually boost your society research with an edict, and it only costs 1 influence per month. But honestly, there's not a lot going on for your influence, especially right away. So you can afford, you're getting 3 right now, so you can afford having 1 less. You only get 2. But so what that is going to do is, so it's going to make these 2 a lot slower, unfortunately. But it is going to boost your middle one here to be a lot faster. So that is a really good tip. Also, let's just check on my surface and see if maybe, just maybe, I have somebody not working that could be working on like a research, and there is no one, unfortunately. So, but yeah, that's one of my tips. That's going to severely increase your ability to get that colony ship, which is just paramount right at the very beginning. I did want to do a clarification from the part 1 of this series there, when I said that you built something on one of the plots of land, that it would nullify, you know, like in this situation where you have the minerals and you have the food. I said that it would nullify one of them depending on what you built there. That is untrue. So what happens? Let's say you pick minerals, for instance, because on your main one, it doesn't necessarily you don't get a lot of minerals on your main place here. So and technically get a lot of food. But anyway, so what that says here is that will suppress the collection of food on that. So suppress is different than remove. So what it will be doing is it will just be in the background. It won't be produced. It will no longer be producing food. And so, but if you needed to change it later, you can actually change it to like a hydroponics or something like that, and then you would be able to collect food at that time. Now, if you are playing by yourself, there are 3 speeds that the game goes at. It's normal speed, fast, and then fastest. I personally am a big fan of fastest right at the very beginning because honestly that's the slow time. Nothing's really going on. You're just kind of exploring. You're waiting for technologies to be done, you know. And in many cases, you have a long wait, like 50 months on the society one that kind of unlocks the ability to go to different planets. So highly suggest kind of just sticking to it. Go on your fastest one. There will be events happening, which if you see something that is interesting to you, I would suggest hitting the space button, or you know, just a space bar on your keyboard, and that is going to pause the game again, and then you can kind of check what's going on. Again, I have the detailed map mode, which I cannot stress enough. Make sure you have detailed map mode on. I don't know if that actually is just defaulted on now, but if you don't have it on, once again, I'm going to just say you definitely want to have that on. Okay. So I did find a anomaly. Now this one, luckily, is quite easy. 5% chance of failure. A lot of times, though, you will find ones that are just ridiculously I mean, it's like a 50-50 chance on some of them that you're going to succeed. So in those kind of situations, I would say don't necessarily go at them right away. You can they'll be there for a long time. I've almost run an entire game where I had a really hard anomaly, and I was not able, I couldn't get somebody who would be able to do it properly, and so I just kept it there for a long period of time. There might be some that are, you know, like timed, but for these particular ones, they're there to stay, essentially. So what I would suggest doing is, if you find one that is above like a 15% chance, and I mean, the only reason I could see of doing one that's above a 15% chance is if it is on a planet that you want to colonize, and you're like, oh wait, I need to colonize this, and I can't colonize it until I do this anomaly. Okay, well, I'll just do it, and then I'm gonna go colonize it right away. That in that situation, sure, go ahead, do it, just get out of the way. Maybe you'll be lucky, maybe hopefully you won't have a crit fail where your scientist just goes mad, or it, you know, dies. Sometimes that happens too. So that's what I'm kind of with on anomalies. I'll just a lot of times I'll just leave them be. All right, so I have flown my just my normal fleet around the portion of the solar system I'm able to go to with the wormhole. With the other two, you're able to just go as far as you possibly want, but with this particular situation, I can only go so far. So what I do at this point, now that I have kind of glanced over just on a medium, I only have the intel up to medium, because with just your normal fleet, you can't really survey. You're not really able to do too much with that. So now that I've gone through this, I can tell you know, and I don't. So what I don't generally do these investigate things until I have gotten my colony ship, and the main reason is, as you can see here, they basically put on hold your society research, which, if you haven't noticed, society research is going towards my colony ship. I do not want to do anything that will prevent me from doing colony surveying, or you know, not surveying, but colony expansions. So that's the name of the game at the very beginning of the game. So anyway, so they have this nice thing now where if you have a planet that you can go colonize, they will just show it right there. So we can see that there are 3 potential options. So we have this one out here that is kind of the furthest away, this one that's pretty close, that's actually within our borders, and this one also that is within our borders. So something I prefer to do in these kind of situations is to pick a planet that is outside of my borders, because technically speaking, with the exception of this guy, who is a actual player, not like a player, but an NPC. So his area is probably roughly like that. So, and if we look down here, he does not do my planet type, so he's an Arctic planet type. So he prefers Arctic. Now I can freely go in his area so long as I don't research his stuff, but eventually he will research me and he'll be like, hey, stop being in my area. That's bad. I'm like, oh, come on. What? Hey, come on. No, no. But so he is going to be going, you know, so that's his normal area. You can also see here that there is an Arctic world, which is also probably in his area of influence. So he's going to be also, more than likely, he's going to be expanding to there. So that is going to be taken over there. So I'm not really in danger of losing this one or this one at this moment. So I don't really care about them too much until I am forced to go into them, because they're in my area. They're not going anywhere. This guy can't even go on them. He's not going to colonize my areas without some technology. He can go over here, which might be a problem, but not right now. It's not really an issue until later. So we'll get to that point at some point. But so of those 3 choices, I would say this one out here, the one that is far out of my area of influence, is going to be your best, or would be in my situation the best option. So after I survey my home solar system, I tend to go to the next one, just so as soon as I'm able to get that colony ship out there, he's going directly to that one. He's able to colonize it right away, and you go from there. So I just finished the first research for everything. They actually were able to kind of finish within a month of each other, so that's kind of cool. So I still have things set up the way I had before, where you are basically bolstering the society one. So what I do is just turn that off. It's pretty simple. And with that, you're actually going to go back to your originals. So things are still looking pretty good. Everybody is in their proper spot with that, and it does still take a while. Also, with when you're advancing, or you're spreading your colonies and whatnot, do keep in mind that the more colonies you do have, the more costly these researches are going to be. So just, you know, keep that in mind. Of course, when you have like over 200 you know, researches coming in or something like that, actual points and whatnot, then it does kind of make it more effective, more efficient to be spreading out as much as you can. But do keep that in mind. You don't want to go all in on it all the way, but you do kind of want to make a land grab as soon as you possibly can. Make sure you get vital points where so that other people can't get them, or you can't get them later on because somebody else is there. Kind of bad. And so they were my neighbors here over here in the bottom left. They did contact me first, so I was right. It looks like their area of influence is butting up right next to mine, so I can no longer go this way, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And it looks like it is a good thing that I did take this particular spot right here, because there is somebody up above me. So they're probably not too happy that I took that, but they also don't know that I'm there yet, so we'll just have to see how that goes. Alright, so they did contact me, and so again, this is one of those benefits of not contacting people right away. And hopefully this is the actual tip. I don't know, maybe this is something everybody knows right off. But so you see that little polygon, why can't I think of the word? Man, I am not a mathematician. So anyway, that's where so you see the star, and then you actually see where the star actually is. So, as you can see here, this particular one looks like it would be in his area, but because of it being 3D and whatnot, it is actually there, so it's not in his area. But anyway, so this particular one, just if I kind of looked at how the circle was going, it would have been in his area. So this planet was in his area that I kind of sniped from him because I didn't know he was there, he didn't know I was there, and it was free for the taking at the time, so I took it, and I'm not even mad. But he probably is mad at me. Yep, he's not too happy with me. And, I'm okay with that. So, anyway, you get more planets if you do not contact people right away. Alright, so he is not happy with me. Looks like he put a some sort of post over here, probably a frontier post, that has expanded him. Because if it was a planet, which there are no planets in there, so he couldn't have done that. But if there was a planet, it would have showed it like this or like that. So those are both planets. So now let's see what kind. Can I see it? Okay, so he looks like he's also on the same type of planet that I want. So he is none too happy with me. I can understand that. So I have 3 people that are really, really close to me here, and a 4th one that I probably don't have to really worry about. But so with these 3 people, looks like 2 of them, one of them's really hostile to me. One of them is okay, he's not in the worst spot with me, and the other one is he's okay. He likes me a little bit. And it's not the one you would think it would be. It's just kind of weird. So with this one, we got 137. This one, negative, sorry. And this one we got 31 negative. And then this last one here, we have 10 positive. So this is the one that likes me. Something that will help quite a bit to kind of gauge how they're going to look at you is to see their modifiers here. So this one's a xenophile, he's a pacifist, and he's an individualist. So he likes everybody to be themselves and doesn't want to fight. So this is kind of gonna give you a little bit of an idea of what to expect from them. So they're Federation builders. They want nothing more than everybody to work together. So that's cool. We'll go up the thing here. So these people are fanatic militarists, and they're materialists. So they are ruthless capitalists. So I'm a little wary of them because they don't like me too much. Now, I haven't exactly put an embassy in with them, so I'm going to do that. And we'll see how that goes. Now, these people are honor-bound warriors. So, they're fanatic militarists, and they're individualists. So, they don't like me at all, because they're all about war and the glory of the battle, as you could say. And I'm more about keeping the peace and not really stubbing anybody's toes. So I'm a materialist and pacifist. So kind of on the opposite end, materialists and not really get along with spiritualists in this game. So actually, they're not even a spiritualist. Well, they just don't like me. I don't know why. They don't like me though. So it's kind of where we're at with our people, and we'll just have to kind of gauge how this is gonna go. But yeah, so interesting times. This is the cool thing that it took me a little bit to figure out. So I currently only have the Corvette. You know, not the biggest boat in the fleet out there. It's pretty small. It's more about maneuverability and avoiding combat or whatever, what have you. Now, there is an interesting thing up here that I never really clicked before, but you actually can choose what kind of layout they will have. So if you want to have a lot of utility slots, actually, no, you have the same. But if you want to have medium utility slots, there you go, see? And be kind of less about combat, which I don't really see why you would want to. But let's just say you do. You're not about combat, you want more utility. This is going to be the one for you. So if you choose that, you get the 2 mediums on that one, and you only get a very very small amount of damage, but that's all you. If you're not about combat, then you're not really going to be doing too much about that anyway. Now, this one is more of the combat-oriented one, so you have a medium slot for that, which, if you know much about those, mediums have longer range, they have more damage. It's generally a better thing. So, you want even large, which unfortunately the Corvette cannot have a large, but you have the options there. So pick and choose, and if you really wanted to, you can also, so let's say you wanted to make a new Corvette. Go there, hit new design, hit Corvette, and you pick, you want to do like that one, you want to do non-militaristic stuff, so you can now populate that with whatever you want. So it's pretty cool. So I officially have capped influence. I'm gaining quite a bit, 6 per month. Oh man. But anyway, so what I am going to try to do here is, because there's no real benefit to having a capped influence, I'm going to be putting a few edicts on a couple of my planets, and there's actually several different options for each one of them. It kind of really depends on what you have particularly. So I am really trying to focus on getting my science up there. So for this, for my home planet, I want to do the Spirit of Science. But honestly, any of them are going to be very good for you, and it gives you a nice little hit to your influence if you're capping quite often. And you can have multiple edicts, which really depends on what you're trying to aim for. Alright, so we found ourselves a fallen empire. Now these won't be in every one of the games that you put out there. I mean, even this is a teeny map, and I had one, which is kind of rare, honestly. But so we do have these guys that are militant isolationists. So they just want to be left alone. No, don't get near them. It actually will tell you, kind of give you a hint at what they prefer. So they are all about just, they don't want anybody near them. They don't want you to be colonizing stuff near their borders. If you do, Um, they have overwhelming everything, and it's very possible that you will never even get close. Like, you might see a superior at some point for one of these, like fleet power, naval capacity, technology level, stuff like that. But it's pretty rare to actually get anywhere close to them in terms of that, or even to the point of befriending them, stuff like that. You're not gonna get very far if you try to mess or do anything with a fallen empire. So I would say stick away from them as possible, as much as possible. There is also been some war declarations that I've been seeing here, so I'm kind of in the same spot as I was before. I'm gonna have to deal with this guy, but anyway, so this guy over here in the teal, I guess you'd call it, he declared war on these guys, and then after that, some unknown empire has declared a war on him as well. So this guy's pretty much gonna get knocked off the map. And that could be a problem because this guy is probably going to take a chunk and the other guy is probably going to take a chunk. And I've allied myself with this little guy who's just kind of all about Federation building and his crappy ways, or, you know, stuff like that. And so we're kind of stuck in the middle of a lot of major powers. I mean, even this guy is pretty big. It's just we'll see how it goes. I cannot stress this enough, but if you're not going to do sectors, like let's say in my situation where it's kind of hard for me to really get above 5 planets right now because I'm on a teeny map and it just really wouldn't do it. Just make sure you're keeping up on the surfaces of each of your planets, because you know, it's pretty easy to just kind of click it and then be like, oh, I don't remember anything that just happened. So, you know, just make sure you're making proper changes and things like that. And so, and you know, if you have a planet it's just not really growing or it's having issues, some nice little robots, never a bad thing. Obviously, you don't want to put them on any sort of research, or I think electricity is also not, they're not very good at that, but they're very good at minerals and they're okay at making food too. So, or adequate, I guess you could say. So, yeah, and you know, so just make sure you're doing that. The benefit of doing this as opposed to sectors is that you get 100% of anything that you do. So it helps you to expand a lot more, whereas sectors are a lot more hands off and they kind of just do what you tell them to do. Although it might not always be exactly what you want them to do, so that's kind of the disadvantage there. Also, I cannot stress this enough. Make sure while you're out and about doing your thing, that you are putting in the time and effort to get your army or your naval, like your ships and whatnot. Make sure you're keeping them upgraded. Make sure that you're getting new ones. You're outputting more of them as soon as your naval capacity gets up. There's a lot of things that you can do to reduce the cost of just kind of maintaining the fleet, which will be a lot pretty helpful. So what I would suggest is just make sure that you keep them up there. Even if you're playing as a pacifist, which I'm playing as currently, but as a weak, if you're weak, nobody's going to want to really be your ally because you're weak. Your enemies or people who rival you are going to seize an opportunity if they see it. So this guy, right now we're still equivalent, although my technology is way above his currently. And like this guy, for instance, he doesn't like me anymore, and he is still equivalent, naval capacity is equivalent, and their technology is also pretty low, which is kind of weird for materials, but whatever. Even my ally is friendly, and they're luckily equivalent to me as well. So that's good. It's a symbiotic relationship here. I'm not protecting them, they're not protecting me. We're just having a good old time here, and hopefully not going to die anytime soon. But Yeah, so make sure you're keeping at least somewhat up to the capacity that you can do, and that way you'll just kind of like an armistice where it's just nobody. You don't want to attack them, they're not going to attack you, and everybody's happy. Another thing which people might not notice right off the bat, but you're going to find these strategic resources. So in my area, because again, this is a teeny map, there's not that many of them, but I only have one thing, and it's called Teldar crystals. Okay, so I'm currently using it, but let me show you what I'm doing with it. So on my main planet, I decided to make this right here, a Teldar plant. So basically what it does is for this planet, it makes the happiness plus 10 to happiness. And for the empire, so your entire empire, a plus 10 happiness. So it's pretty good to have these kind of buildings. And I know a lot of people will get this sort of resource and they'll just keep going and keep going and they don't even know what it is. So if you see resources, you're going to want to either make one on one of your planets. So it doesn't necessarily matter which planet you make it on. I would probably have preferred to make this on my not main planet, but I just so happened to be where I put it. And so there's two options usually. There's the on planet side, and there's also generally a space kind of module that you could make. So I can't do this because I only had the one, but this would have made kinetic weapons increase their damage by 10%. So that's kind of the war aspect. Sometimes it's not necessarily that, but just keep an eye out for them. If you happen to do get some strategic resources, check your spaceport and also on the ground to see what it will do to your planet and empire. So while you're upgrading your ships over time, there's going to be certain things which will just generally be a better thing. And so with the weapons, so like this one for instance is an autocannon, so it just does damage. Just that's all it is. It's all just damage. So it's not a bad. It's actually pretty good. From the get-go, you have to research it obviously, but you're going to come up with some things that might be a little less damage component, but if you go against the right thing, so for instance, plasma thrower has 100% armor penetration. So if you're throwing plasma at somebody and they have a large amount of armor, their armor is no longer, it's not even going to be an issue. So just keep in mind that it's, it is important to make sure you have high damage stuff, but also keep in mind that certain types of weapons that you can, or components that you can put on your ships, will have modifiers like armor penetration, shield penetration, shield ignore shields, stuff like that. So just keep an eye out for those sort of things. All right, these are two technologies you definitely want to get as soon as possible. Sadly, they both came up at the very same time, so that's kind of unfortunate. But frontier clinics, super useful. They give you food. Let's see if I can actually mouse over it. And it gives you the 5% habitability. So it's essentially the same as having your own little hydroponics, but you also get the habitability up from it. And then the big one is gene tailoring. So this is going to make it so that if you want to be on a planet that unfortunately your people can't really colonize too well, you can get people you can adapt people to actually do that. So it's pretty cool. I'm gonna do that one because that one I feel it's a little more important, but it's we'll see that in a little bit here once I've been able to get it. All right, so that technology just came up. So we're gonna go to. So I have two populations within my borders. Droids, can't really modify droids, so go back. But I can modify my current population, As you see here, we have 1 point in gene splicing, I guess you could say. But essentially, I can change him to any planet preference I want. I wanted him to be Arctic, for instance. I can also remove certain elements or add if I wanted to. Now, there's certain things that obviously cost a little bit more, and certain things are also just kind of removed from the equation if they're kind of don't I can't use them because he's weak. I can't be weak and strong at the same time. So you gotta have to pick and choose what you would prefer in that situation. So we're gonna go with Arctic preference because I did colonize this Arctic world as it was a 24 and really wanted that. And let's see. So we got enduring, which is nice. We can get rid of one of these ones. I don't really care too much about that. We are kind of in a very societal kind of thing here, so let's go with some research. Why not? I like research. Research is good. And we'll go with sociology. That seems like a good one. Okay. And then I click the planet that I want to do, which is the Arctic one. So it's going to change this 3 pop into Arctic dwellers. So it seems like a pretty good deal. And then I hit modify, and it will do it. So there you go. Alright, so I have genetically modified these particular StubTVers. And as you can see, they do have that Arctic preference. Some of them have some really weird traits, but I mean, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. You might need to actually put in an edict to get them kind of re in the zone of where they should be. But anyway, it's not abducted. I don't get that. But anyway, so yeah, they're now currently happy to be in this Arctic region, and the best part about it is now that you genetically modify those people, you can build a space station and then create your colonization ships with those people in mind. So, like for instance, it shows here an Arctic world that has 80% habitability, and the reason why, not that one, is it basically will say that the meta StubTV people, which is kind of interesting that they now call them that, meta StubTVers. So 6% of my faction is StubTVers, the meta StubTVers that like that particular spot. So it's kind of interesting. I would definitely suggest doing that as much as you possibly can. It's kind of fun. Alright, so it looks like we have one of the possible end game happenings. So as a materialist, I've had the option to improve droids and augment them and make them into an army, and then you get like an AI and things like that. So it looks like we have an unauthorized synthetic project. Let's see what happens here. Now, just hopefully you guys understand, I have been improving my, keeping my fleet very strong. I have 106 out of 120, so that's very important for one of the any of the end game happenings, end game content, I guess you could call it. And so it's very important to have a very strong, unified, you're able to, everybody's on board with you. You don't really have any factions. I mean, I have like one faction that has one person in it, so I'm not too worried about that. But you don't want to have anybody else really making issues for you. So let's see what happens. It should be happening here pretty quickly. As you can see, I have kind of, so these two, I kind of had to, so I wanted to declare war on them because they went all the way down to here and they were kind of crimping my style. Even as a pacifist, you kind of sometimes do have to go to war. So what I did was I told my ally, because they were not for it, even though I could take them out. I still kind of wanted to keep the alliance going, you know, that's just, I figured that was kind of a pacifist way. So I told them that I would cut them in half, and I would liberate this portion of their world, and I would keep this one, I would vassalize this one. And so I vassalized them, and then right after the war ended, I also demanded their vassalization. So I made them kind of subservient to me. So anyway, let's keep going, see what goes on here. As you can see, I have very strong primary world here as well. God, just been kind of going through on my a lot of my tech. Been trying to just kind of get things going on that. I always keep it up to date, see what is going to be the best ones for each one. Alright, let's keep on going. Hopefully something happens. Maybe it won't. It's possible, I guess. It would be kind of funny if just nothing happened, but you know, you never know. Something might happen. I also have maxed out minerals, so whenever you get maxed out minerals, either build more ships, which I plan to do, although I'm kind of low on energy credits, but you can also just kind of donate to your sectors, and that's a good way to get around your, you know, so you're just not wasting minerals. Also, you know, buildings and stuff like that. Oh, here we go. Rogue Synthetic. Rogue Synthetic unit that went off the grid months ago after failing to report for work has confronted by a team of heavily armed government agents. As a result in a large public firefight. Ooh. So it sounds like a lot of our people on one of our planets just up and died. That can't be good. Okay, well they're set. Wish I could recruit more on that one. I am going to improve my defense though. I feel that would be a smart move. I suppose, you know, just for fun, we're gonna make synthetic defense armies, because, you know, I mean, what's the fun of like completely stopping a end game event here. Oh, hey, look, so they got incorporated into the fold. So let's go ahead and boost up that sector. So if you've never really done any sector management, you just click on the sector management from the Empire tab, and you're able to add stuff in, which is pretty useful, honestly. Alright, so I waited about, I'm gonna say like 50 years probably, maybe, you know, maybe 25, maybe 50 years, and nothing happened with the with the of course with the synthetics. I was kind of hoping it would, but nothing. And then I got this: subspace echoes. Several of our tracking stations have picked up a peculiar subspace echo coming from somewhere in the intergalactic space. Echoes are faint, but getting stronger. They seem to be approaching our galaxy. Dun dun dun. Alright. Well, let's roll the dice. Let's see how this goes. So we have lots of this fun stuff, but don't really see. Coming storm. That's all it says. I'm currently at in a war, so this is me now, kind of gobbled up those little vassals of mine, and my 2 allies now. So I have an ally here, little tiny guy, and this guy decided to join up with me too. And so we are. They've been like hounding me to attack this guy, but they always wanted something for themselves and never gave me anything. So kind of worked it in a way where it was like, oh, well, how about I get this stuff and you guys can liberate stuff. So that seemed like it was a good idea. But yeah, so I am attacking. Another good tip is to make sure you have a general to send down on your planets. You're not going to get very far if you don't have one of those guys. It's one of those like leaders that you don't really need until you like declare war, but you know. Alright, finally got the end game situation, so it looks like I'm getting an outer rim, which I've had before, and it's pretty crazy. I wonder if it's going to be in my area or what's going to happen. I don't know if my fleet is strong enough to withstand them. Remember before it was like over 20k per group, and they would just like ransack me every single time. So we just have to wait, kind of see if we see anything pop up. Doesn't seem like they're in my area though, my neck of the woods, because usually I know they did have to do an update. The one I did before, they unfortunately just like they would infest a planet, and then that was it. Like you couldn't get it out of their clutches, and it was like, can't win. So anyway, hopefully this works out. We'll just have to see how it goes. Alright, this is their first notice to me. Can't read it, obviously. And then apparently that's supposed to mean that they start. Again, I remember last time this happened, I mean, generally speaking, I owned half the map in that situation, but okay. But they came through my area. Oh, looks like that's where. Oh god. They are right there. Now I kinda like, honestly, I could go over there and wipe them out. Like those are small little groups there, but I kind of want to show you guys how this is, like what happens and how crazy it can honestly be. I mean, 2k, that's nothing. Like, really? But maybe they'll take it out too, we'll see. Oh, no, that's a lot bigger. Alright, so these guys are actually live in space, which is kind of a cool little thing there. I know there's a lot of things that you can do with them, which is pretty interesting. I want to see them actually like make a foothold, because right now they're doing a pretty good job at taking out my ally. I know it also has to do with their weapons. Like they have really good weapons of like defeating and like just taking out a lot of your stuff, so I should probably make some preparations for that. Yeah, you know, crazy concept, I know. Also, their colony ships will just find like, you know, just some random spot that doesn't have like people in it or anything, and then just take it over. You know, like, oh, it's a tomb world. Well, now it's our world. Oh, it's somewhere that, you know, you have like a 0% habitability. Well, we just took it over. So there you go. They also have the best of all worlds in terms of actual hyperlanes, hyperspace, and wormhole. They're able to do all of it all together. So it's kind of a cool little thing there. I think they just lost their entire fleet. Now, if I was a good neighbor, I would probably help them out. Do stuff, you know, make it work. So let's see, their armies are, they've taken over. So this is their place now, one of their places. And they're exterminating everyone on it. Everyone is to be exterminated. Okay, so they have taken that over. Surface is as such. There's zero habitability anymore. It is no longer what it was. So like you can't look at it and be like, oh, that was a, you know, a tundra or something like that. And that's how they look like. So Praetorian Scourge. And they'll just keep going until somebody steps up to the plate and takes them out. It's kind of crazy, really. I know when I fought them before, I was not prepared in the slightest, and they just, yeah, annihilated me at the time. And yeah, it was pretty fun. Nobody helped, of course, because, you know, who wants to help little guy? So. Alright, about to make a stand against these guys. They've come in and they took out one of my frontier posts, which I guess I didn't actually need anymore, so they kind of did me a favor. But they've pretty hardcore taken out this area. They started expanding a little bit here and there, but I imagine this place is only, who knows how much longer it's gonna last without some help there. But anyway, so I am like literally just about to go over there and see what is up. Maybe we'll see. Okay, so we got a 30k versus a 23k. And I'm just gonna show you the destructive power that they have. Maybe it's not, who knows? Of course, and got those ridiculous people. Alright, taking out my cruisers, because, you know, cruisers. I do have some pretty strong technology here, I'm not gonna lie, but these guys are really destructive. I'm actually doing too bad here. Maybe because of the whole battleships. Alright, the last cruiser is about to go, so now it's just battleships if I am not mistaken. So let's see if my battleships decide to bite the dust as well. Not too shabby. Queen is about to die. Alright. Boom. Not bad. And very strong. You should definitely go over and just kind of pick up any technology you can get from them, because I'll tell you what, yeah, you're not going to find that technology elsewhere. It's going to unlock quite a few things that you would not be able to get otherwise. So that's pretty cool. I kind of made a thing, though. I'm not going to attack them unless they come into my area. So if they start coming into my area, I will take out their little groups there. But otherwise, I'm just going to leave them be. I don't know if that makes me a good person or a bad person, but I feel like that's the most fair way of doing it. And these guys love to take out wormhole stations, so keep that in mind if you are a wormhole person. You want to make sure that you are remaking them or trying to make them in areas where it's not going to be a problem. These little guys right here, super annoying. You just pop out these little, like, military power stuff. And you just gotta deal with them. If you can kill one, it's really good. But Chances are I'm not gonna kill one.
Construction complete.
Alright, kill the queen. The rest of them should follow suit. Although I think they do still have another queen. The battleships! Don't die! Battleships are OP. Yeah. So, I got 10% Scourge missiles. Well, you can just see it. But you get a lot of technology that you wouldn't have had otherwise, really. I mean, you would have had regenerative hull tissue, but it's kind of cool. You get, like, stuff that you wouldn't have had otherwise, but to get it, you have to actually kill stuff that you probably wouldn't be able to kill without a gigantic army. So, it's kind of fun. Alright, so the change that I've been able to see here, it seems like it's been, I don't know, maybe it's just because I am stronger this time than I was the last time, or I just had prepared a little bit. I remember the time before, I just barely gotten into battleships, and that's when they struck, and I maybe had one. Now this right now I have 26, so I'm pretty solid on the whole battleships, and I know battleships are kind of ridiculous for you know, getting rid of these guys, but it's pretty cool. Like, so basically you attack stuff, and
Situation log updated.
then they die, and before, I thought you had to, like, you had to actually go and kind of take over their planets and whatnot, but it seems as if you just kind of go there, you bombard it, and then poof. So that's kind of cool. Though I am taking out one of their first places that came over on, so I think they're a little, they don't want that, it would appear. Might actually be. I still have the superior numbers, but we're gonna see how this goes. But yeah, I'm gonna show you after this. I'll show you how you just kind of go over there and you bombard it, and then it essentially becomes a barren world, which kind of sucks because there was a planet over here that was an Arctic, like, or an arid or Arctic, like 25. So you can tell it's like actually a pretty big planet. But now it's barren. I can't even terraform it. It's just, it's, you know, nothing.
Updated.
So that's kind of, it's interesting. You definitely don't want to give them any leeway into your area, because any planet that they take over that you used to own is not going to be usable anymore. So it's kind of unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard stuff here. Like, break systems, so they're not even hitting me. It's kind of fun, but yeah, I'm just gonna kind of take them out and just go from there. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, I like this particular event because it can be very overwhelming, and if let's say it goes into an area that you don't have access to, you know, just like on the other side of a you know, zone or in an enemy's territory, it can completely take them out. You can't do anything against it until it gets to a spot where you're able to kind of, I don't know, whatever you want to, take vengeance. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. I remember last time as well when I had gotten attacked by them, so we're gonna show just you bombarded a bit, and then so it goes down. like so.
Fleet engaged.
So it's
Situation
now
log
a
updated.
barren world, and you can't use it anymore. Alright, well, the threat has been contained. You can't see any more of it there. I haven't been able to find anything. I know with other ones, once you've, like, laid the final blow on it, it kind of is like, oh, and everyone likes you because you saved the entire universe. This one I didn't get anything like that. So, you know, whatever. Maybe one of these guys got, I don't know. But so yeah, that's basically it. After that, you just kind of I honestly don't know specifically what happens, but I imagine you have to you get to a certain amount of time, and then it just kind of ends at that point, and maybe gives you a scoreboard kind of thing. But honestly, I don't necessarily play after the final event kind of happens. I feel it kind of not much happens after that. But anyway, so that's the game. You know, I mean, essentially that's everything from the beginning to the end. Hopefully, this is useful tools and information to improve your game. I know a lot of people are talking about this game. I'm gonna say personally, I like this game, but I feel that there is some aspects that I know that Paradox has like kind of lined up, or that they're got the think tank going, and I feel like the game will become amazing, you know, maybe in 6 months or in a year or something like that. Right now it's still pretty bare bones, but I mean, for somebody who just likes kind of a 4X game, this is going to be fun. If you're looking for more of a grand strategy, there's not too much in terms of the grand strategy at the moment anyway. So, but yeah, that's the video. If you guys have anything that you want to see, or something that would be beneficial to your game specifically, or issues that you're having, I'm more than happy to make a video specifically dedicated to that. Otherwise, I don't really have too much else in terms of Stellaris. I almost felt like I was kind of grasping straws on this one myself. But anyway, if you like what you heard, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more content, I am going to be doing other things on Steam as well. I always kind of have an eye towards different games. I've been playing a lot of Salt and Sanctuary, so I was thinking about doing a video on that as well. If you guys think that'd be fun, let me know. It's kind of if you haven't heard of it, it's basically a Dark Souls meets 2D kind of game. Maybe a little bit easy, but in other cases it's really hard. So we'll go on that, and otherwise I hope you have a good one, and we'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye.